blood-sucking creatures of the night, feared, hunted, and strangely romanticized. Vampires have haunted our nightmares and seduced our imagination for centuries. But where did it all begin? Are they just a product of fiction, or did something far darker once exist? Welcome back to another episode of Myths Untold. Long before Dracula, and even before written history in some cases, there were whispers of blood-drinking beings. In ancient Mesopotamia, a terrifying demoness named Lamashtu was believed to feast on infants and pregnant women. Her legend was one of fear and death. Then there was Lilitu, another dark figure, who evolved into Lilith, a wandering spirit said to seduce and prey on men. These early stories laid the foundation for what would become vampire mythology, creatures of the night, seductive yet deadly, feeding on the life force of others. The ancient Greeks also contributed to the vampire mythos. They feared the Empusa, a demon sent by the goddess Hecate who seduced young men at night and drank their blood. She could change her form, often appearing as a beautiful woman, until it was too late. From the Middle East to Europe, the idea of beings who drained life persisted. But it was during the medieval period in Eastern Europe that the vampire myth really took hold. In places like Transylvania, Wallachia, and Serbia, belief in the undead became widespread between the 12th and 18th centuries. Communities lived in fear of corpses rising from the grave to suck the blood of the living. These weren't elegant vampires dressed in cloaks. They were grotesque, swollen with blood, their skin ruddy or dark, often exhumed with blood smeared on their mouths. Signs that someone was a vampire included an undecomposed body, long nails, or hair that seemed to have grown after death. To protect themselves, villagers used bizarre and brutal methods. Corpses were staked through the heart with wood or iron, decapitated or burned. Garlic was placed in the mouth, iron spikes were driven into eyes, or the body was buried upside down to confuse the spirit. Real people were also accused of being vampires. One of the most infamous was Vlad the Impaler, a 15th century Wallachian prince whose favorite method of execution, impalement, earned him a terrifying reputation. Though there's no proof he drank blood, his brutal legacy inspired Bram Stoker's Dracula, published in 1897. And with that novel, the vampire was reborn, not as a bloated corpse, but as a charismatic aristocrat. Another notorious figure was Elizabeth Bathory, the Blood Countess of Hungary. Legend says she murdered hundreds of young girls and bathed in their blood to preserve her youth. While modern historians suspect exaggeration or political conspiracy, her story fed the growing myth that blood granted power and eternal beauty. Some vampire legends may actually have roots in misunderstood illnesses. Take porphyria, for example, a rare disease that causes sensitivity to sunlight, skin blisters, and even gum recession, which could make teeth appear fang-like. Or catalepsy, where people could fall into death-like trances and be buried alive, only to wake up and try to escape, further fueling belief in the undead. Vampires changed again with modern storytelling. Films like Nosferatu introduced a shadowy, rat-like monster, but later depictions, like Interview with the Vampire or Twilight, gave us vampires that were tragic, even romantic. From horrifying to hypnotizing, vampires have constantly evolved to reflect our darkest fears and deepest desires. Yet no matter the form, monster, lover, or cursed soul, the vampire has always been a mirror, a reflection of our fear of death, of disease, of losing control, a myth rooted in mystery, sharpened by time, and still very much alive today. If you enjoyed today's dive into the shadows, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon. We've only just begun to explore the legends lurking in the dark. Until next time, keep your garlic close and your curiosity closer, only on Myths Untold.